Hi everyone, thanks for coming today. My name is Liam. I am based in Cork, in Middleton in County Cork, and my systematic kinesiology practice is very busy with people that are suffering from emotional stress. It's a massive problem people have in modern day life, and we have an amazing technique that I'm going to show you in a few minutes that can clear it for you and reduce it with very, very simple technique. And you can do it at home to yourself as well once you're shown how to do it, once you find out how to do it. So when you come under stress, the front part of your brain, which is your creative and logical side of your brain, shuts down essentially, and your blood vessels constrict, you breathe heavily, you breathe faster, and the back part of your brain, which is the part of your brain where you have prior memories, it's like a storage bank, I suppose, where that's where you go to find out how you're going to react with this stress. And that's why some people react in a particular way to a particular stress. And what I'm going to demonstrate now in a few minutes is emotional stress relief, and it's something it's very familiar to me because my background is very stressed. To be honest, it's full of stress. Before I became a kinesiologist, I had absolutely no experience with healthcare or holistic therapies or anything. I knew nothing about it, and I trained as an accountant, believe it or not, in college. So I couldn't have been further away from kinesiology if you tried. So I was jumping from job to job, getting more and more stressed, falling out with bosses left, right, and centre, and it was always their fault, by the way. It was never they were like. So I left that job into another one. Oh look, that boss wasn't very nice either. So, and I just became kind of more stressed and more angry, and my life went down that path. And it came to a head then at about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I was working in Dublin, and I was on a 6-month contract, and I just went, forget it. This is it. This is enough. I've had enough of this. And at the end of the contract, I rang the recruitment agent at the time, and they said, no, even if you're on the renew my contract, I'm gone. I'm going home. I'm going back to Cork. And so I went back, and I was thinking, great, this is my chance now. I'm going to leave this job, and I'm going to go and do something that I actually want to do. So I went and trained as a fitness trainer and a personal trainer, and studied in nutrition and physical therapy and all that. And I did that for a couple of years. And then one night I was on Facebook, and I discovered kinesiology. Well, I discovered the word kinesiology. I had no idea what it was. And I saw it, and it was either Facebook or Google or wherever on the internet anyway, and I did a little bit of research on it, and I sent a query on the website, and I got an email back, an automated email, I say, from Siobhan, and it was, I read about it, and my first thought was, I'll think about it, I'll see how that goes. And a couple of weeks later, I got another email from Siobhan again, and the first sentence was, are you still sitting on the fence? And my first thought was, yes, I am. But after reading the email and the interesting stuff in that, I decided to go ahead and sign up for the Balanced Health course, which was down in Kanturk, in a little town in County Cork, which I was never to in my life. But I ended up down there on a Saturday morning with Des, wherever he is. He's in the room somewhere here. And I've never looked back since. Kinesiology it's actually changed my life. It's completely calmed all my energies. It's got rid of all that anger and all that stress that I had. Oh, you get stressed for days and things, but in general, I don't go around with this feeling of stress and feeling of anxiety anymore, And since I've started practicing, I get so many clients with symptoms that I recognise myself, because I was like that one time as well. And so many of them, they come into the door in one state and they walk out the door in another in the space of an hour, maybe a 10-minute treatment, 10 minutes with this technique that I do with them, and it changes them. There was one woman came into me one day, and before she said anything to me, she started crying, and my first reaction was, shit. I was like, what? So my first thought was, right, I'm going to do this emotional stress relief before I start anything else, and just bring her energies back down. And at the end of the session, she said it's the first time in 2 years that she was able to think of something other than the particular thing that was stressing her out that day. That's how powerful it was, and I only did this for 10 minutes. You can change somebody's. I've seen people change on the table with emotional stress. Emotional stress relief. I find it amazing. It's the most powerful technique. One of the most powerful techniques that you're going to find with kinesiology. So that's my background and that's my story about kinesiology. And what I'd like to do is ask anyone who'd like to volunteer to be a demo. Does anybody have a stress in the room? Anybody have a major? Apart from me, obviously. Do you want to come up if you have a stress?
I've just gone up for
Sure, it doesn't matter. You want to come up again? You'd be more used to this than me.
Everybody else wants to go, I think like it's fine.
If you want to come up, yeah. It's very much based on Lorraine kind of touching it in her last talk when she was testing the psoas muscle, and no, you don't have to get on. That's okay. So you just sit up in the plinth there, okay, and if you just lay your head at this end, okay. Okay. So, sorry, what's your own name? Anne. Okay. So I'm going to demonstrate ESR with Anne in a couple of seconds. So the muscle I'm going to test is very much based on what Lorraine did with the psoas muscle earlier on when she asked Deirdre to think of as stress or an anxiety, and the muscle reacted, the muscle went weak. So what I do is I work with that specific emotion with emotional stress relief to clear the stress that the body is holding. Now the muscle I'm going to test is, Mel actually tested earlier on, it's related to your stomach meridian, which is your pectoralis major, and I'll show you that muscle in a minute. It's on your stomach meridian and it flows right down from your eye sockets right down through your stomach and down as far as your toes. And do you ever notice, like if you're doing an exam or driving test or you get a traumatic news and you get a feeling in your stomach like butterflies or kind of caught in your stomach? That's because the stress or the trauma kind of holds right there in your stomach. You know, and that's what we can clear very simply. Okay, so Anne, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to test your pectoralis muscle. So that is, if you just bring your hands straight up and point towards the ceiling and have your palm facing outwards that way, okay? Would you mind taking off your shoe, actually?
Do you know?
If it's more comfortable for you, I only need one foot, like. Just to clarify that. Okay, so bring your hand down to the side, okay? So I'm just going to put gentle pressure on this muscle, okay? And you just hold against my resistance, okay? And hold. And hold. Resist. Okay, and it's already weak. Are you stressed now?
Yes.
Okay. That is an example of the fact that she's already stressed and is turning her muscle off. Do you have butterflies in your stomach at the moment?
Yeah, you're giving them to me.
Okay, so you can just relax that muscle, so okay. How do you think I feel? Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do is think of a stress, and maybe the number one stress that you have in your life. Okay, so the points that we use when we're doing this technique is, if you just think of two horns coming out of your forehead, they're right there, they're called your frontal eminences, and you just put nice gentle pressure, nice gentle touch on these points, and you think of whatever stress it is that's at you at the time, and just hold it and focus on that stress. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Okay, so have you got that stress? Okay, and on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the worst, how would you rate it?
I'm 7.
Okay, so we have a stress to work with. It's not this one, it's right here. No. No. Okay, so I'm just basically holding the points on the forehead. And just focuses on that particular stress that is affecting her at the moment. I had another client a few months ago that came to me with anxiety problems, feelings of anxiety, and he used to get this feeling in his stomach every morning, or sorry, it was in his chest every morning, kind of palpitations in his chest, and the feeling he had was that he didn't really want to get out of bed in the morning, like kind of depression. He just had no motivation to get up, and he didn't know where it was coming from. So I did this with him for about 15 minutes, I'd say, and at the end of it, he literally said, I can't think of the feeling that I had. I can't remember what it was. So it just disappeared. And he came back a few weeks ago for another treatment, and he said he couldn't believe the difference that this this particular treatment made to them. It's that powerful. Every so often then I just ask how she's feeling. Has the stress reduced? Generally it does. If they're focusing on it, generally it reduces. How are you feeling? Is this still at a 7 or 8? So how would you rate your stress? So usually the signs of stress reducing is maybe a big sigh from the person on the plinth, or you kind of see their legs kind of relaxing and flopping out to the sides, or they just can't focus on what the stress was originally. It just starts disappearing from their mind. When I had that done to me first, there was a particular stress I had in my head, and it was really at the forefront of my mind. I can't remember what it was now, but like it was at the forefront of my mind. And this was done to me for whatever length of time, and I think it was Des was doing it with me, and he just asked me how I was feeling, and I was going, "Boy, grand." I was thinking, didn't know it. I was actually thinking of a match or something that was on the night before, you know. So it had disappeared from my conscious thoughts altogether. Changed. We had another person I was doing this with as well in one of the balanced cell courses, and while I was doing this, she said her stomach was going mad, and then her knee was going mad, and then her toe was going kind of tingling. Do you remember? Sheila, I remember she was in the course, and that's actually the line of where the stomach energy flows from there right down through the stomach and right down to the toe. So it was the energy releasing while I was doing this technique. So what we'll do is we'll retest that muscle to see if she's not as stressed as she was when I tested it the first time. So just relax your hand there, and just bring your hand to the ceiling there. Okay. Okay, so if you just think of that stress again, and resist. And it's a lot stronger than what it was earlier. And that's how you can reduce stress in just minutes with this technique. And you can do it to yourself at any time if you're feeling nervous or anxious about anything. Thanks very much for that, Anne. You don't need it anymore. So that's how long was that?
15.
Oh, okay. So that's emotional stress relief. It is the most simple and powerful technique that kinesiology, one of the most simple and powerful techniques that kinesiology can offer. And you can do it yourself at any time, even if you're, before you go to bed at night, or any time that you're feeling nervous before an exam, or before a driving test, or before anything else that makes you nervous or anxious at the time. So thanks very much for coming, and thanks very much for listening, and have a great day. Thank you.